Good morning, everyone. The music in the background is from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Broadway musical that comes to the Bushnell during February vacation week. This is Arts Beat Radio. I'm Mark Auerbach. We've got a great program today for you here on 89.5 FM WSKB. In our first half hour, we're talking with Sean Farley from the Fine Arts Center at UMass, who's going to talk about some of the programs coming to the Fine Arts Center this winter and spring, pushing us towards summer vacation and all that. In the second half of the program, we're going to be talking with the television, film, and stage director, Matthew Penn, who is the head of the Berkshire Playwrights Lab in Great Barrington, but is also one of the stage directors for Barrington Stage's 10 by 10 New Play Festival. Great program, so thanks for joining us. Good morning, Sean Farley.
Good morning, Mark. How are you?
I'm good. It's only about 16 weeks away until Memorial Day weekend, so bring
out our white shoes.
Yeah,
right?
White shoe season is just around the corner. So to get us to that point, what are you bringing into the Fine Arts Center?
Oh, we've got so many things. We have small, intimate concerts, and we also have some really big shows in our concert hall, and in fact, we get it started. We actually got started on Wednesday with Matt Wilson, but tonight we have Aaron Deal in Bowker Auditorium, and we have quite a few shows that actually cross genres this spring. So I think it's going to be very interesting if people are interested.
And, I mean, it's everything from ballet, mock ballet, if you, and all that, to chamber music, to jazz, and theatrical kinds of things. Plus, the season wraps up with Leah Delaria, who most people know from Orange is the New Black, but she was a Broadway singer and jazz stylist and all that. So really kind of a fascinating mix at the Fine Arts Center.
Yeah. And, Leah's going to kind of close out our season and also be the unofficial kickoff to Northampton Pride that weekend. So we're very excited to have her. As you said, she's kind of a Renaissance woman. She's an actor, she's a comedian, and an incredible singer. I mean, I did not know that when we first booked her, that she is a very good jazz singer, and will be performing her jazz renditions of Bowie songs at this concert. So
I didn't know, when I first saw her, she was the first out lesbian comic to go on primetime television, and she had if you went to Provincetown in the summer or you were hanging around the clubs in Northampton, she was quite the presence as a stand-up comic. But she went to Broadway and she did a revival of Leonard Bernstein's On the Town, and it was discovered that she was quite the jazz singer. And I've actually got a couple of her albums. One was a Broadway kind of album that she did, where she did music from Sweeney Todd, and she did some Sondheim. She did some other obscure music from Broadway musicals, the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And she's a phenomenal talent. Yeah,
she really is. So we're really looking forward to having her and her and her let's say R-rated style of comedy, and she's which is great. I mean, she's just but she's late night show material, not for anyone under the age of 15.
Not for the youngsters.
Yes, yeah. That is correct. So but before we get to her, we have some wonderful shows if you're into dance. We like you said, we have mock ballet with the Les Ballets Trocadero de Monte Carlo, which I guess you would call them a drag company, men in tights, but they really honor the tradition of ballet. These are excellent dancers. Don't be fooled by the fact that they offer parody on ballet. It's They're excellent dancers, but they also, add comedy and kind of make fun of the traditions of ballet a little bit.
They're one of my favorite dance companies. I've seen them many times, especially when they started out. And they wrote their program bios are as funny as their performance. And I hope they still do that.
Oh, they do.
The thing that I found was, they did an excerpt from Swan Lake. And it's very physically difficult for a male body to stand on point on the tip of their toes.
Exactly.
It's just because of the way men are built. And the guys in the trocks, as they're called, did Swan Lake to perfection. They did a takeoff on Martha Graham's dance technique, and the technique was to perfection.
I know.
That
really
blew me
study.
away.
Yeah, they really study modern ballet, and you're right, they get up on point, which is just amazing. So we're really looking forward to that. And, I guess you would call April with, and then Leah on May 1st, kind of the big shebang at the Fine Arts Center, because we also have, right after the Trox, we have Ballet Hispanico. Not funny, not a parody at all, but they're just gorgeous.
They are.
Dancers.
They are. Who chooses what goes on stage at the Fine Arts Center?
We have several curators, actually. We have our director of programming for the performances like Ballet Hispanico and Leah Delaria, and then we also have an Asian Arts and Culture curator, and that person books programs like Kodo drummers, the Japanese drummers that will be coming in March, and also Zakir Hussain and the Masters of Percussion, which brings percussionists from all over the Asian diaspora to perform. And then we also have a jazz curator who programs our Magic Triangle events. And we have Jazz in July. And then you have the visual arts curators. So we have quite a bevy of curators to make, I would say, the Fine Arts Center and its season one of the most diverse in Western Massachusetts, I would say.
How does UMass compare to some of the other universities around in terms of the programming it offers? I know every year that you generally in January you run into New York, and your colleagues from around the country get together and they look at new talent and stuff like that. How does the options at UMass Amherst compare, to example, for what might be at a university in the Midwest or the West Coast?
Well, that's interesting that you should say that, because we do actually collaborate with quite a few universities. It's called the block booking in the business. So if someone is going to performing at Dartmouth and maybe also in Boston at the Emerson, or at Jorgensen in Connecticut, they'll make a stop at our venue as well. It just makes sense for the artist. It helps with the expenses, and it also helps with the artist fees. And I would say that also just being in the region between New York City and Boston really helps not only the Fine Arts Center but other universities in the area, because a lot of times you get these big shows, these big artists that you would see in New York City for 3 times the ticket price, and yet they come to us for, a quarter or a third of the ticket price. So we're very fortunate that we can be a stop between New York and Boston.
Now, you offer all kinds of discounted tickets for students and seniors and all that. So essentially any performance at the Fine Arts Center can be affordable if you think about it in advance. Where can people find out and get information on what's available in terms of the winter-spring season?
Well, there's several ways. One is going to our website at fineartscenter.com, and it's mobile friendly, and you can, look at what we have not only on the performing arts side, but also in our museum, in our galleries. And you can also go to our Facebook page, like the Fine Arts Center, and you'll get all the up-to-date information about what's coming, and including, also what's happening with our partners at UMass, like the dance department and the theater department and the music department. So, we like to work with our colleagues on campus to help promote their programs as well.
And one of the questions that people ask me all the time, all these performances that are at UMass in the various venues, the Fine Arts Center, the Concert Hall, Bezanson Hall, Bowker Auditorium, they're open to the public, right? I mean, it's programmed for the university, but these are the university's way of being a part of the community, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's any program that's not open to the public. And, when we book our shows, we're certainly looking for the academic connection for our students and faculty, but we're also booking shows that are of appeal to our community, to families, to our diverse communities that live here. We were trying to be as inclusive as possible. And I would say that the music, dance, and theater departments are the same. They also present programs that are very diverse in nature and open to the public, and sometimes they're free. So if anyone's looking for free programming, to definitely visit the, I would guess the UMass Theater. UMass Theater usually are ticketed shows, but the UMass Music Department often has free programs, which are phenomenal. I mean, as you know, living in this area of many colleges, there's just so much talent on our campuses that people can experience, and often for free. So it's great for families if you're looking to inspire your kids and have them experience a live performance. There's nothing like it.
And the Fine Arts Center's been around a long time. Even before the building was built, there was programming, cultural programming on the UMass Amherst campus. I understand that if you put all 5 colleges together with the arts programming, that it becomes a big tourist draw, that people come here for a weekend and they stay in Northampton or Amherst or Deerfield or Greenfield, and that they participate in a lot of the cultural things, and that it really, in a way, what you're doing puts us on the map.
Well, I would like to think that. I think, as you said, there's so many wonderful arts programs. Just look at Northampton and how many venues they have there and what's going on, and Turner's Falls with the Shea Theater, and the Hawks and Reed in Greenfield, and the Majestic Theater, the theater in Holyoke that's kind of getting revamped.
Yeah, the Victory, and
the Victory, yes. So, and then yes, it's competition. Yes, it's competition for the leisure dollar, but I think. We all support each other, and sometimes, I was going to mention the Gateway City Arts too. We all have our own niche, in terms of what we present. And you have the Symphony Hall in Springfield with the Springfield Symphony, with doing big orchestral productions. And then I'd like to say that the Fine Arts Center stage really can do justice to dance and big theatrical productions like the Chinese Acrobats or Kodo, and some Broadway shows as well.
But don't you think with all this activity or performance activity in the area, it makes the area a better place to live, and it attracts a higher quality of person who wants to live and work, brings them to Western Mass?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, our director just recently retired, and so we're searching for his successor. And in serving on those search committees, it was nice to know that UMass really, when they're trying to lure new faculty, new deans, new directors that they're really showcasing. They really talk up the culture in our area, because sometimes these people are moving from urban areas like, L.A., Chicago, New York, Boston, and they don't know our area yet. So they're thinking they're moving to a cultural wasteland after being in New York or some other big urban area. And UMass convinces them that no, we have, walk out your door and you have a plethora of options in terms of culture, food, local agriculture. I mean, when you talked about tourism, that's so true. We just are a great area to come no matter what the season, really. There's something to do.
And I think that with all this cultural activity around, we've got people who are involved in the cultural economy, filmmakers, videographers, musicians, graphic designers, and all that have come out to Western Massachusetts to work and to live because they want this in their backyard. They want to be able to go and see jazz or modern dance or ballet within a 10-minute, 15-minute drive from home. And they also want the opportunity to work in an area that is attuned to the kind of work that they do. And people like organizations like the Fine Arts Center provide that cultural stimulus to make this a better place.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'd have to agree with that, but it's like I would say we'd like to be the leader on that, but I think we have so many other anchors. When you have Jacob's Pillow and Tanglewood and Mass Mocha and the Springfield Symphony, it's just no matter where you go in Western Mass, you have a cultural hub, really, and and I've seen a lot of that. When you look at people who are moving into the area, a lot of them are coming from New York and D.C. and major urban areas because they want to raise their families here.
Well, it's a great place to live, and now it seems, I was talking with some people the other day, the fact that this Connecticut rail service from Springfield to New Haven is going to extend next year or later this year up to as far up as Greenfield. That means that people can live here and work in New York if they want to. Absolutely.
And that's such an important corridor for us, Like I said, we get a lot of artists from New York City, and not that they would hop on a train, but we certainly, like for next year, I can't spill the beans yet on our next season, but we're going to have some major events next year where we'd like to think we could draw from New York and Boston and some other places. So having that kind of access is very important. I would also push that our state legislators really get more rail service between Western Mass and Boston as well.
Yes, I'm all for that. We need to take a quick break, Sean, to acknowledge the underwriters of community radio here on 89.5 FM WSKB. So you can refill your coffee cup.
Thank you.
We'll be back in just a minute. Peter Coles is our engineer this morning. I'm Mark Auerbach, and you're listening to Artsbeat Radio.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Comcast and Xfinity.com, offering Xfinity TV, Internet, home phone, and home security services. Information on all that Xfinity has to offer in the Westfield area is available online at Xfinity.com.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Wednesday mornings from 6 till 8, it's Tina Gorman with Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Welcome back to Artsbeat Radio, everyone. I'm Mark Auerbach. Peter Coles is our engineer this morning, and online with us is Sean Farley from the UMass Fine Arts Center. Welcome back, Sean.
Oh, thank you, Mark. Glad to be here.
So you said that you can't announce it yet of what's coming to the Fine Arts Center next year, but when do you expect to be spilling the beans?
Oh, yes. Well, I would say if people check back with us in May, we'll have some information up on our website. And, of course, we'll do, some splash in the media, and we're going to probably be leaking a few things out, I can tell everyone that we're having Alvin Ailey back, Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, to close out our season in 2020. I can't believe I'm saying that, 2020.
2020. I mean, oh my gosh, it's around the corner.
I know. It goes by way so fast. So we're very excited to have them back. They're a very popular dance company and one of the best in the world. So I can at least say that as a little teaser, but we have so many wonderful things coming next year. But in the meantime, we have some excellent shows this spring. So I really invite everyone to go to our website and, select a few good ones if their family's looking for some great shows. I mean, I think families are one of our biggest growing audiences at the Fine Arts Center. So if you like lots of drumming, and usually children do, I would suggest they come to Kodo. For the older kids, we have the Reduced Shakespeare Company, and they're hilarious. They're going to do, I think it's like 37 of Shakespeare plays and 154 sonnets in 2 hours. And it's also Shakespeare's birthday, so we're going to have birthday cake and balloons afterwards. And then, of course, the Trucks. I mean, they're just funny and just, very special. So, yeah, I really urge everyone to come visit us. And we also have great exhibits going on in our galleries and museum. Really, we just have so much for everyone.
I mean, since everything is so diverse in terms of its programming at the Fine Arts Center, you as a marketing and public relations person have to have a great understanding of music, dance, and theater, visual art, and all of that. Is there a favorite genre that you have when you get a chance to look at a season?
Wow. Well, I've been doing this for so long, Mark, that I love jazz. I have to say I love jazz. I love dance, particularly modern dance, contemporary dance, and I love contemporary music. And I have to say I've grown into liking contemporary music. Back in the day, I just thought it was just too out there for me. But as I've gone to performances, because I try to go to every single one, I would have to say that my palette has grown, and I'm really into it. So, because I guess after you've been doing it for over 30 years, it's like, okay, someone's got to surprise me. I got to see something I haven't seen before or I haven't heard before. So maybe that's why I'm kind of drawn to the new, the contemporary, just to surprise me.
Is there any performance that you've had this season that took you by surprise? You said, I didn't think I really enjoy working that one, and then go, wow, that was terrific?
Well, I wasn't that familiar with Max Richter's music. He's done a lot of scores for movies, the HBO special, The Leftovers. So to market the stuff, you start listening to the artist, you watch their video. I'm immediately a big fan. I think I've downloaded now everything he's produced. It was just such an amazing experience. Just so beautiful music that you can listen to. That just I kind of use it to help, if I'm stressed out, kind of bring me, back into a good place. It's just great to meditate to, or do yoga to, or just be introspective with. So that was a big surprise for me. Yeah, and then I would say, I'm really looking forward to Christian Scott next week on Valentine's Day. He's a jazz artist, but he stretches the definition of jazz. He calls it stretch music. So he kind of takes the roots of jazz and then adds other genres to it to really, make it a whole new music. And he's up for a Grammy, so we'll see on Sunday if he wins. So.
Yeah, I realize as you were mentioning, the Grammys are up and coming, and he's on the roster.
Yes. So we wish him luck, and he's also a big, he's a big proponent of social justice. We had him here last spring as part of a forum for art and social change, and he was amazing. So he's coming back as part of the Billy Taylor Artist Residency, and on Wednesday, the 14th, before Valentine's Day, he's going to be doing a listening party it's actually Wednesday the 13th. He's doing a listening party at the Northampton Community Music School, and talking about his approach to music, to being involved in the community in terms of social justice, and then listening and playing some of his music.
Sean Farley, it's always so great to have you on air. And I was realizing before the program, you've been on Artsbeat Radio many times, and it always seems to be the weekend or the date that I have to go somewhere or be somewhere. So my pal, Patrick Berry, gets to chat with you. And so this is the first time this season that you and I have chatted on the radio. And I hope that when you announce your season in May, you'll come back and talk about it with me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's kind of weird to be doing the current season and working on the next one at the same time. We're always in a different time frame, but I will be more than happy to talk it up.
That's terrific. And for information on what's happening at the Fine Arts Center, fineartscenter.com. Very easy to find online, or 545-2511 if you just want to call and talk to a human being.
Very good.
Thanks again, Sean. We're going to take another break to acknowledge our underwriters. We'll be back with Matthew Penn from Barrington Stage Company's 10x10 New Play Festival. That's today in Artsbeat Radio.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Dental. Comprehensive dentistry at 14 convenient locations in Springfield, Chicopee, Longmeadow, West Springfield, Belchertown, East Longmeadow, Ludlow, Northampton, Greenfield, and Wilbraham, as well as 29 Broad Street in Westfield. Bay State Dental makes it a priority to help you achieve and maintain the healthy smile you deserve. On the web at baystatedental.com.
Underwriting for WSKB's community radio programming is brought to you in part by R. Levesque Associates. They are offering landscape architecture, civil engineering, environmental permitting, and land surveying. RLA is a second-generation company devoted to excellence in the planning and design of outdoor spaces. On the web at rlaland.com or at 40 School Street in Westfield. One of our underwriters here at WSKB's Community Radio is Carson Center for Health and Human Services, a nonprofit organization located at 20 Broad Street in Westfield. They provided behavioral health and rehabilitation services in communities throughout Western Massachusetts since 1963. There are services for children, adolescents, adults, families, and couples. You can find them on the web at carsoncenter.org or at 413-572-4132.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Wednesday mornings start off right from 6 to 8 a.m. with Tina Gorman and Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Welcome back to Arts Beat Radio, everyone. This is Mark Auerbach here at 89.5 FM WSKB. Peter Coles is our chief engineer and producer this morning, and we are broadcasting live from the campus of Westfield State University. Next Friday on Arts Beat Radio, we're going to talk with Daniel Elihu Kramer, who is the artistic director of the Chester Theater Company, and he's going to preview their upcoming season. And also one of my favorite guests, Alexander Savronsky, who is a music director, composer, and performer. He's currently on the national tour of a play called Indecent. He's doing the sound design for Barrington Stage's 10 by 10 New Play Festival, and he was just nominated for a Helen Hayes Award, which is Washington, D.C.'s version of the Tonys, for his performance and musical direction of Indecent. With us now is Matthew Penn. The name may be familiar for those of you that follow theater in our area, because he is one of the directors of the Berkshire Playwrights Lab in Great Barrington, which is developing new plays and certainly contributing to the theatrical and cultural life of some of the area theaters. Those of you that watch television on a regular basis may have seen his directorial work in programs like Law and Order and NYPD Blue and some of these other great shows like The Sopranos. If you're a follower of Berkshire Theater Festival and Berkshire Theater Group's 90th anniversary season, maybe you saw his staging of Sister Mary Ignatius Explains It All for you last summer. And now he's working with Julianne Boyd at Barrington Stage. They're co-directing the 10 by 10 New Play Festival. So it's great to have you here this morning.
A pleasure to be here.
So tell me a little bit about the New Play, the 10 by 10 Festival, because I, oddly enough, have never had the chance to go, and this year will be my first chance to go see it.
Oh, you know, it's interesting. It's I guess it's in its 7th or 8th season. I came on, this is my 3rd year. And it's become sort of one of the hottest tickets during the coldest months in the Berkshires, because it's 10-minute plays, and we really try to take you into 10 very different worlds. We have 6 actors playing all the roles, 3 men, 3 women, so you get to see people like Peggy Farr Wilson and, you know, doing a multiple or a series of roles in the course of an evening. And I find all of these, you know, I guess Ensemble Studio Theater started a 1-act marathon, but this is quite different than that. I always enjoy this sort of format of short plays, because in and of themselves, they are, to pull off a compelling short play is quite a feat. And it's one of the most fun, I think, aspects of the Berkshire theatrical season.
Where do the plays come from? Are they local playwrights? Are they national playwrighs? Are they contemporary, or are there things that have been sitting around that are waiting for production?
No, they get about 200 plays submitted to them a year, and from that 200, they whittle it down to that final 10. They're from playwrights across the country. So, I know that Julie really prefers, obviously, to have plays that have never been done before, and I think that's pretty much that's kind of a must-have, which is to say they're original, they're new, but you have writers you'll see look down and say, oh, my writer's in Seattle on this one, in Los Angeles on that one, around the corner on this one. So it's really quite fun, because as you say, you deal with 10 different writers as well as 10 different plays. So it's a good deal of fun.
When you're directing these, and I'm sure that you and Julie really had to pick and choose which of the 5, I guess, that each of you are directing. But do you get a chance to work with the playwrights? Are they in rehearsal?
We do a bit. It depends. Yeah, it depends where the playwright is, and also, there are times you'll have just a very small question for a playwright. So, it might be they're 2,000 miles away, and really, a phone call is an easy thing. There are times playwrights come and see the performances, and you've had a chance to talk to them a number of times before that. But really, it's Julie and her staff, just to be clear. It's Julie and her staff, and obviously Julie has the last word in terms of which plays get selected. As I said, Julie came to me 3 years ago or so and said, do you want to do this? She'd seen my work at Shakespeare and Company and said, I'd love to have you think about doing this festival. And really, we then read the 10 plays and we kind of talk back and forth and say, I love this, I want to do this. Do you have a vision about that one? Because I'm not sure I do. And we sort of mix and match and come up with the 5 she'll do and the 5 I'll do.
Is it more of a challenge as a director to direct a 10-minute play than it is, like, for example, last summer when you were at Berkshire Theater and you were doing 2 one-acts that were longer? Is the 10 minutes, is that confining, or does it make it give you a different opportunity than you might have to do a full-length show?
I think it's a different opportunity. It's not harder or easier in a weird way. It's it's like that kind of thing of, how could you make a terrific meal in 10 minutes? Could you make a terrific meal in a half an hour? Could you make a terrific meal in 3 hours? You'd approach it very differently. You'd literally shop for different elements, as it were. So it's that, which is it's its own special challenge, and I find it, fun and kind of liberating in its own way. I always am interested by kind of the variety of worlds that we're able to create in such a short period of time, and take the audience on a journey that is, there's always going to be the play you love, the play you didn't cotton to, and the plays that you like. And the good news is that if you find something you really don't like that much, by the time you discover you may not like it so much, it's almost over in 2 more minutes. So it's it's kind of a win-win, I think, both as an audience member and as a director. I really enjoy it.
Now, you've done stage directing and screen and television directing, and you've also done in terms of nurturing playwrights with Berkshire Playwrights Lab. Do you like working more with contemporary and new works versus classics, or do you just approach each play on its own?
I approach each play on its own. I really I had done a great deal of work in television, but had begun my career in the theater in New York. And it was really with The Beauty Queen of Leynan, that Martin McDonough play at Shakespeare and Company, that I had an opportunity to direct up in the Berkshires for the first time, although Berkshire Playwrights Lab had preceded that, and sort of the establishment of Berkshire Playwrights Lab had allowed people to sort of to see the work and started to open up some doors. I'm fortunate to have directed at Barrington Stage, Berkshire Theater Group, Shakespeare and Company, and also run Berkshire Playwrights Lab with Joe Picachi. So it really became, for me, a place where working up here means so much because, my family has had a place here for 50 years, and the Berkshires have been really part of our lives for,
Yes, I understand that last summer when Berkshire Theater celebrated its 90th season, that you grew up at Berkshire Theater as a kid, that your father was a director there.
Yeah, he was an artistic director along with William Gibson there for I think a couple of seasons, and I didn't quite grow up there, but I do have very clear memories as an 8 or 9-year-old of being around, and then it was Berkshire Theater Festival, being around BTF quite a bit as a youngster. So when it came to their 90th season, Kate and I had talked about doing something, and it was just fortuitous that came about. But it's a real honor to be able to work at 3 of the significant theaters up in the Berkshires. It really is.
What drew you to want to go into theater?
I always feel that the arts, and that's whether you're painting a painting or writing an incredible piece of music or writing a poem or a play or a film, I always feel that the arts make a tremendous contribution in terms of the experience of people's lives, of talking about what's painful in a life, what's hopeful in a life, what's loving in a life. And I only knew as a young person that I wanted to somehow participate in that world. I suppose if I could, write music like Paul McCartney, I'd have done that. But, you have to find sort of your niche and where you feel your talent lies. And in there, for me, it was pretty clear that it was storytelling, the world of storytelling in some fashion. And so I began in the theater, but the ability to sort of perceive stories both in terms of a camera and film as well as stage, it's not that many directors go back and forth freely, but it just sort of felt like something that came fairly easily to me. I mean, that sounds not quite right, but I was able to perceive the world of film and to perceive the world of the stage with, I think, equal comfort. But of course, no one's going to hand you a camera at the age of 25 and say, "Go do NYPD Blue." So I had to kind of work my way up through the world of New York theater. But it was actually New York theater that finally opened the door at Law and Order. Ed Sheeran, who was running the show, is an extraordinary theater director and also film and television director. And it was the theater credits, strangely, that interested him and finally gave me an opportunity to direct that show. So that's an area where theater and film melded together quite well.
It seems to still meld together. Every time I go to a play, and you read in the bios in the playbill, somebody's done Law and Order, or they've done SVU or Criminal Intent, and they're very proud of that particular television connection. And when I see something, some of these reruns on TV, and I look at the people that are in them, I go, oh my gosh, I saw them at Barrington Stage, or I saw them at Berkshire Theater. So I don't know what the Law and Order connection to stage theater is, but it seems very strong.
Well, it's partly because they hire so many actors, and I mean this in the most wonderful way. Each episode has so many actors in it. Dick Wolf used to say, if you go to the theater and you don't see Law and Order on an actor's bio, it's only one of two things. Either they just got to town or they're not a good actor. Because we were hiring, you hire 30 actors or so an episode, you multiply that times 24 episodes. We were hiring hundreds of actors. You multiply that over, 20 seasons, and that's just the regular Law and Order. And you add SVU to it. So, you pretty quickly end up with an extraordinary number of actors. And so almost everybody that spends part of their career in New York City has booked a Law and Order or 2 or 3 or 4 over these couple of decades.
And there's also another series that I guess debuted around 2000 called Oz, which people seem to be watching, binge watching every once in a while. And it's a prison drama, and you go through it, and there's Patti LuPone, and there's Elaine Stritch, and all these other Broadway people that use that franchise and the Law and Order franchise to do their television, which I think is so cool.
Yeah. It's tremendously, there are great actors everywhere, but the shows that shoot in and around New York, take advantage of these wonderful Broadway actors, stage actors, television, film actors. I mean, it's a rich, deep community. And what's interesting about the Berkshires, though, is how deep and rich the community is here in terms of actors. Obviously, you're not dealing on an island of 8 million people. You're dealing with a much smaller community, and yet there's extraordinary actors up here. So, and some go back and forth, whether it's summers or winters. But the ones who are local to the Berkshires, many of them are superb.
Not only that, what I'm discovering is that there are also designers, set designers, costumers, lighting designers, composers, filmmakers, and videographers that are here in Western Massachusetts that are working in New York and L.A. and Boston, but they've chosen to live here. And you see their names popping up in the various theaters on a regular basis. It's great.
I heard you mention Alex Svronsky in the pre-show, and it's interesting. I met Svronsky at Shakespeare and Company. I hired him to do a show, to do Beauty Queen of Lebanon. I thought, who is this guy? Because he's fantastic. I then hired him on almost every show I possibly could. Most recently, we did Mother of the Maid, starring Glenn Close, at the Public Theater, which had a sold-out run this fall in New York City. Opened in September to very fine reviews and ran through December. And so Alex and I have had the pleasure of working in the Berkshires together, in New York City together, and he's quite an extraordinary and very talented composer, but it's also and theater artist. But he also is an actor, and so he's able to perceive the play from a particular perspective that maybe just any other composer might not. So for Alex and I think, like I said, the last 5 shows I've hired him. So it's been a great collaboration.
And he's doing the 10 by 10 also.
Yep.
And I met him at Hartford Stage when he was performing in a Shakespeare and had also composed the music. And I've had him on the air several times. I mean, he's just terrific. But
I mean, it was really the people at Shakespeare and Company had said, you got to hire this guy. And I was just getting there and didn't know their company, didn't know. And they said, he's superb. And so, like I said, I hired him on Beauty Queen of Lebanon, which is 2013, I think, 2012. And, we just hit it off. We spoke the same language, and, it's been terrific working together.
It's a small world. I mean, I came back to being a theater reporter after taking about 10 years away from it, and I feel very close to the people at Berkshire Theater because I worked with Eric Hill and Kate McGuire at Stage West, a theater company here in Springfield that's now defunct, and through Eric and Kate met a lot of other people in theater, and they're all in theater all over the country. So it's a small world, and it seems to come back to Western Mass, which is a great place to live and work. I can't think of a more exciting place to be.
No, I mean, it really is a cultural hub, but it's also a great place to take a walk in the woods. I mean, it's sort of the best of all worlds. Somebody said to me, I don't have the absolute verification on this, that when you factor in Tanglewood, all of the 4 major theaters here, from Williamstown, Barrington Stage, Berkshire Theater Group, Shakespeare and Company, Jacob's Pillow, that something like 1 million tickets a summer are sold, which obviously, even while Tanglewood has the lion's share of that's a huge number of tickets sold for all of the theatrical productions in and around the Berkshires each summer. So it proves itself year in and year out to be an extraordinary place.
And for people that work in theater or television or film, you can now live here and make a living. Berkshire Film and Media Collaborative in Pittsfield is really responsible for helping a lot of major motion pictures and documentaries and videos to get made in Western Massachusetts. And you can find a crew here, you can find designers, you can find editors and all of that. So somebody who wants to work in theater or wants to work in film and video can make a living in a great place to live.
Yeah, I would hope that community, the film community, grows, because that's always what you need to convince a studio or a producer if you want to shoot in the Berkshires, which I would love to do. You have to convince them that there's a crew base, that they're not having to travel people in and pay them per diem and put them up in hotels, which is all very expensive, naturally. So if there's a real crew base, the Berkshires will start to generate even more film work.
Yeah, I mean, there have been a lot of films in Shelburne Falls in the last couple of years, and there's a movie opening today. And unfortunately, the title has totally escaped me, but it was filmed in Greenfield in Turners Falls. And it's kind of like a cops and robbers kind of film, but it's at all the multiplexes, and a majority of it was filmed here, which offered a lot of people employment while it was here, and hotel rooms and restaurants and everything else. Can we?
Go ahead.
Yeah, can we talk a little bit about Berkshire Playwrights Lab and what you're doing there?
Sure. Berkshire Playwrights Lab has been around for 12 years, and in that period of time, we've premiered something like 60 new plays, some by established writers, many by emerging writers, and the concept behind Berkshire Playwrights Lab has been kind of about the birthing of a play. In other words, in that situation, a play cannot have been done anywhere. We have to be looking at a pre-produced draft of a script, because the purpose of Berkshire Playwrights Lab is to be able to give that writer that first experience of their script, in which writers then go, oh gosh, I know exactly what I need to do to make this script even better. And we've performed out of the Mahawi Theater and St. James Place over these 12 seasons. We've had something like 10,000 people attend the readings over that period of time. We have tried to keep ticket prices down for many years. It was free, or just a nominal fee, because theater belongs to everybody, and experiencing a play at its sort of gestational moment is an important thing to both audience and playwrights. So Berkshire Playwrights Lab is really about supporting the writer move their play from an early stage to a more advanced stage. And we've had shows like Some Old Black Man, which moved to New York and starred Roger Robinson. Mother of the Maid went from Berkshire Playwrights Lab to Shakespeare and Company, and then to the Public Theater starring Glenn Close. So Berkshire Playwrights Lab is really, like I said, about the birthing of plays, about giving that writer the opportunity to really experience their work for the first time in front of a sizable audience. We'll draw anywhere from 200 to 400 people a night, and it's a number of alternate Wednesdays in the summer. I wish our budget were even higher, so we would have an even bigger presence. But it is an unusual, and I think certainly original for this area, enterprise, which is to invest wholly in a brand new play. And that really has helped launch. There's probably 7 or 8 plays that have gone on to significant regional productions around the country. For our galas, Elaine May has written for them, Dave Mamet, Larry Gelbart, so it's been quite a journey. And, certainly if you're inclined to support Berkshire Playwrights Lab, BerkshirePlaywrightsLab.org, we are always the little engine that could, and certainly could benefit from any generosity that any listener might want to bestow on us.
Yeah, I mean,
it's an extraordinary place, and
people should check out that website, and hopefully we can maybe over the course of when you have your next thing, maybe talk a little bit about it on radio. It would be great to have the opportunity for people to see more new work and to see it first.
Yeah, well, that's right. And what we're doing is sort of elaborate staged readings. I mean, almost what would be thought of as a workshop. And we'll rehearse for 4 days. We'll stage the plays fully in those 4 days. We'll put it up in front of the audience. Like I said, we've been based out of Great Barrington, which has been wonderful. We get a very loyal following. But, like I said, because the model has been to try to keep it as inexpensive as possible, we're always existing on the generosity of individuals, some grants, so that we're trying to make something work that has a real challenge to it, but a real value to it as well.
Matthew Penn, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Great to chat with you about the 10 by 10 New Play Festival, which comes to Barrington Stage this month. BarringtonStageCo.org for details on all 10 of the 10-minute new plays as part of this, and Berkshire Playwrights Lab. And what's your next project after 10 by 10?
Well, it's funny because I having just finished Mother the Maid in New York, that really took almost 8 months of effort. And so I'm really kind of looking at a couple of television pieces, one film piece, and another play, and just seeing which moves to the forefront first. So it's kind of a nice opportunity for me to kind of say, all right, now what? Because it's been quite a year.
Well, congratulations on the many successes and that you've had in Mother of the Maid, which I heard a lot about in its over the course of its New York run. And we look forward to the 10 by 10. Next week here on Arts Beat Radio, Alexander Savronsky, the composer, music director, sound designer, who's also involved in 10 by 10, and Daniel Elihu Kramer, who is the artistic director of Chester Theater. We're going to leave you today with a piece of music by the late Michel Legrand, who wrote a Broadway musical called Amour. This is Malcolm Getz singing one of the songs from that show. And we'll see you next week here on another edition of Arts Beat Radio. I'm Mark Auerbach. Our chief engineer today has been Peter Coles.
I don't deserve your attention. I'm hardly worthy of mention. I've got a job and a pension. Nothing remarkable, nothing very strange. I go to work on a Monday and to the park on a Sunday, never suspecting that one day my life would suddenly change. I'm just a guy living down the hall, a normal, ordinary Joe, that's all, who'd never dream of walking through a wall at all. It's all beyond comprehension. Why me, a slave to convention, without an ounce of pretension? No earthly reason why anyone should care. You might have walked by me on the stair and not have noticed that I was there. But now my boundaries have turned to air. I was a monk in a cloister, but now the world is my oyster. If I life's not dull anymore. Now I can wander the world. Why should I squander my life behind closed doors when I can take a look at yours? But where on earth would that get me? It might scare me, it might upset me. Still, life's acquired a dimension that's quite beyond comprehension. Was this divine intervention?